So let me ask you this. When you see everybody on TV, everybody from TV saying it's from bag, at that moment when this happened, you're there in the room, every conversation, you go to dinner, lunch, friend, people, co-workers, how are you holding yourself back from saying they're lying? That's not the case.
I guess it goes back to the same thing, credibility.
You didn't think they would believe you if you said anything.
Right. I really don't want to be critical, but there are some really fine researchers out there. They've done a fantastic job and have dedicated most of their life to them. They don't readily accept the possibility that they could be incorrect. Everything that is new or contradictory to their theories, so forth, is automatically rejected. I would be more than willing to participate in a objective legal inquiry where you would be able to, someone who's objective, and I'm not talking about a group of physicians to review the evidence and that type of situation. I'm talking about a true law enforcement objective investigation into a murder.
Why do you think it hasn't been done yet, though?
Well, I'm not sure that it can be done.
Why do you say that?
I think the assassination of Boswell eliminated that possibility. And I think they wanted to keep, and this is all my opinion, okay? I have no inside information or anything. I think they wanted to keep it within the realm of control of the government.
What is your opinion on Humes yourself? Do you have an opinion on Humes?
I think Humes and Boswell and Finck, they were good people. But one of the things that everybody seems to negate is the fact is that they were military. They were in the Navy, they were all career officers. They were getting close to their retirement. My feeling is that they were given a scenario and they were directed to actually support that through the autopsy findings. Now, I don't think that sat well with Dr. Humes. He really wasn't that kind of an individual, but he had no alternative. And that's one of the reasons I say that the autopsy, a lot of the autopsy report, is a spin on what we actually saw. The measurement of the wounds, 13 centimeters, that's almost 5 inches. That's almost 1.5 inches over what I actually saw. Now, as a caveat to that, I would like to say, I didn't measure the wound, but he did. But what I think he used, and then Dr. Boswell actually said in his notes that it was 19 centimeters. And I think what they did was that the measurement was taken after the scalp was refracted. Some of the bone had separated from the scalp and fallen in, so it had increased the size of the wound that was actually missing, where it seemed to be bone was missing.
Were they being ordered?
Oh yes, I'm sure.
And from all the way from the top?
Oh, I'm sure.
So then, what's your opinion on Lyndon Johnson?
Not very well.
I figured. Wow, that was the entire question I wanted to ask you today.
I was in San Antonio, and I lived in San Antonio, and Lyndon Johnson in San Antonio, or in Texas, was, I guess you could say, a good old boy. Politically, he was supported. He's not someone that you'd want to invite to dinner.
It's amazing. I'm reading a book right now. I just finished. A good friend of mine wrote, Robert Greene, and he talks about Lyndon Johnson heavily.
Oh, yeah.
And he talks about how ambitious he was, to the point where he was willing to do anything at all cost to make it to the next level in his career. And how coming up for him, he would go against Hubert Humphrey, the Triple H, right. Hubert Humphrey. And then he had this one mentor of his, Russell, that kind of calmed him down, and he tried to keep his motivation in. And when you read about him, there's a little bit of animosity he has towards JFK and the amount of love he got, because
A lot of animosity.
a lot of animosity, because he was never a great orator, and he was never loved like JFK was loved. And he was way more ambitious. It was way more important for him to become a president than JFK, because in JFK's family, his older brother was supposed to be president, Joseph.
Right.
And you know this because if you read history, the older brother was in war, he died as a pilot, and his father was depressed for several years. And so when you read this, the part as I get deeper into this, a lot of things make sense. You know, when you tie it up, a lot of things make sense. Do you think a part of the investigation that is to be done, do you think there needs to be him involved in it as well? Or no, you're thinking more specifically from researchers? Because I think a part of this is also to see two things. One, you know the 6 soldiers that saw the casket coming in early, right? There was a couple E4s, a couple E5s, and an E6 that later on became a lieutenant. So either they're lying, which why would they? They're not being monetized. Why would they say that they didn't see it? And then the other side is, you know, why wouldn't they tell the truth? And then the opposite side is, what is the motive behind wanting to take the front bullet wounds out? What would be the motive? So would you say Lyndon Johnson would need to be a little bit investigated to see there was a motivation there as well?
I would say, I guess I can answer that with a question. Who were the 2 people in the government at the time that benefited the most?
Him and Hoover.
That's right.
Is that the right answer?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I just got the chills all over my body.